Okay, I'm not very good with technology, so this microphone keeps slipping down. If you could just adjust it. Yeah.
It should be tight now.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. My name is Jaga Mohini, and I've been asked to give class today. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Verse 6. Okay, sorry. Okay. So you might help me with the Sanskrit here. I'm not very good at Sanskrit, but we'll have a go. dvy-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. 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 Cintayan dvir-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy. Upāśṛṇod gaditam vibhuḥ. Sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. Niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa viduḥ. cintayan dvy-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy. upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vacaḥ vibhuḥ. sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa dhanaṁ viduḥ. cintayan dvir-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy. upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vacaḥ vibhuḥ. sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa dhanaṁ viduḥ. Please chant.
cintayan dvy-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy.
cintayan dvir-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy.
upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vaco prabhu.
upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vaco prabhu.
sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa dhanaṁ viduḥ.
cintayan dvy-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy.
cintayan dvy-akṣaram
upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vaco vibhuḥ.
upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vaco vibhuḥ.
sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa dhanaṁ viduḥ.
cintayan dvy-akṣaram ekadāmbhasy.
cintayan ekadāmbhasy.
upāśṛṇod dvir-gaditaṁ vaco vibhuḥ. sparśeṣu ṣoḍaśam ekaviṁśaṁ. niṣkiñcanānāṁ nṛpa dhanaṁ viduḥ.
Anyone else like to have a try? Okay. Saha he cintayan, while thus thinking, dvi, two, akṣaram, syllables, ekadā, once upon a time, ambhasi, in the water, upāśṛṇod, heard it nearby, dvih, twice, gaditam, uttered, vacaḥ, words, vibhuḥ, the great, sparśeṣu, in the sparśa, letters, yat, which, ṣoḍaśam, the 16th, ekaviṁśaṁ, and the 21st, niṣkiñcanānāṁ, of the renounced order of life, nṛpa, of O king, yat, what is, dhanaṁ, wealth, viduḥ, as it is known. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the sparśa alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life. Purport. In Sanskrit language, the consonant alphabets are divided into two divisions, namely the sparśa varnas and the talavya varnas. From ka to ma, the letters are known as the sparśa varnas, and the 16th of the group is called ta, whereas the 21st letter is called pa. So when they are joined together, the word tapa, or penance, is constructed. This penance is the beauty and wealth of the brahmanas and the renounced order of life. According to Bhagavad philosophy, every human being is meant simply for this tapa and for no other business, because by penance only can one realize his self, and self-realization, not sense gratification, is the business of human life. This tapa, or penance, was begun from the very beginning of the creation, and it was first adopted by the Supreme Spiritual Master, Lord Brahma. By tapasya only can one get the profit of human life, and not by a polished civilization of animal life. The animal does not know anything except sense gratification in the jurisdiction of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. But the human being is made to undergo tapasya for going back to Godhead, back home. When Lord Brahma was perplexed about how to construct the material manifestations in the universe, and went down within the water to find out the means and the source of his lotus seat, he heard the word tapa, vibrated twice. Taking the path of tapa is the second birth of the desiring disciple. The word upāśṛṇod is very significant. It is similar to upanayana, or bringing the disciple nearer to the spiritual master for the path of tapa. So Brahmaji was thus initiated by Lord Krishna, and this fact is corroborated by Brahmaji himself in his book, the Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma has sung in every verse, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Thus Brahma was initiated by the Krishna mantra, by Lord Krishna himself, and thus he became a Vaishnava, or a devotee of the Lord. Before he was able to construct the huge universe, It is stated in the Brahma Samhita that Lord Brahma was initiated into the 18-letter Krishna mantra, which is generally accepted by all the devotees of Lord Krishna. We follow the same principle because we belong to the Brahma Sampradaya, directly in this disciplic chain from Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyas, from Vyas to Madhva Muni, and from Madhva Muni to Madhvendra Puri, from Madhvendra Puri to Ishwara Puri, from Ishwara Puri to Lord Chaitanya, and gradually to His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, our Divine Master. One who is thus initiated in this disciplic succession is able to achieve the same result, all power of creation. Chanting of this holy mantra is the only shelter of the desireless pure devotee of the Lord. Simply by such tapasya or penance, the devotee of the Lord achieves all perfection like Lord Brahma. Very nice verse. Om Ekyantamanandasya Ginandana Salakyaya Chakshumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Raghunatam Katam Tam Sajivam Savetam Savadutam Harijna Sitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaganalita Shri Vishakam Pitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Pantu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sudhu Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the translation again. So I can repeat after myself here. While thus engaged in thinking, in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from this 16th and the other from the 21st of the sparśa alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life. Okay, when I was reading this verse, I thought it was very beautiful actually, and it gave me some questions. Well, who is Brahma? Who is Lord Brahma? You know, we hear about Lord Brahma all the time, you know, about, you know, he created the universe and, you know, in the passionate state. So I thought, okay, let's see who he is. I'm not prepared. I was hoping to open this up before, so I have a few notes that I gleaned from this. But actually, what actually caught my eye in this, in the purport, the Prabhupada's purport, was this little jewel here where it says, "This penance is the beauty and wealth of the Brahmanas and the renounced order of life." So tapasya, having pasya and penance, is the wealth and the beauty of Vaishnavas. Okay, let's see. Okay. Right. So I broke it down here into little 3 parts for my purification here. Okay, so we're talking about Sanskrit language and the consonants and the alphabets, and it's described that Sanskrit, it was described to me as I'd heard it in classes, mother of all languages. So the Sanskrit is not from this world, it's actually coming from Krishna, from the spiritual world. And so this, by reciting the Sanskrit as best we can, we're showing that we're trying something. So it could be, for me it's quite hard, and for me it's a tapasya, but we're trying. So if we try, I was hearing which caught my eye, I was hearing on the Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day here, where actually it wasn't him, I was hearing from Chandramauli Maharaj, where he was saying, when he was here, he said, I'm trying to be obedient. So tapasya is also trying to be obedient by trying to do something. Because what does it do? It pleases Krishna, pleases Prabhupada, that we're trying. So that's there. And yes, so this penance is the beauty and wealth of the Brahmanas and the renounced order of life. And as Prabhupada says, tapasya began from his creation. So I was actually reading the Brahma Samhita, and everything is in there. In the actual introduction, it was said that the Brahma Samhita is a very important scripture. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of God, acquired the 5th chapter from the Adikeshwar temple in Tamil Nadu. So it actually described the philosophical conclusion of achinta dvy-akṣaram, which means simultaneous oneness and difference. So often we think, oh, that's contradicting itself, but it has in its one and difference on many things. And so the penance for Lord Brahma, as we know, he came from the navel of Mahavishnu and the golden stem. And then when he came out, he couldn't see anything from all sides. His forehead was dark. He was thinking, wow. And then I hear that Saraswati, she actually said to him, you just think of the divine name, I think she said. And here she says, then the goddess of learning, Saraswati, the divine consort, the Supreme Lord, said thus to Brahma, who saw nothing but gloom in all directions, O Brahma, this mantra, Krishna Govinda Gopi Jana Vallabha Swa, will surely fulfill your heart's desire. So he was thinking, oh. And so where Prabhupada says that, he went deep into the water to find out the seat of this lotus. Who is, why? What do I need to do? And in Canto 6, Chapter 4, 49-50, Prabhupada speaks about when the translation to this verse was when the chief lord of the universe, Lord Brahma, having been inspired by my energy, my being capital, Krishna's energy, was attempting to create, he thought himself incapable. Therefore I gave him advice, and in accordance with my instructions, he underwent extremely difficult austerities. Because of these austerities, the great Lord Brahma was able to create 9 personalities, including you, to help him in the functions of creation. So he was able to do this by his austerities. And I think as the chapters go on, it's like 1,000 years or something like that. He was in the ocean.
I think hundreds of the still years.
Yeah. I think Prabhupada describes 1,000 earth years, is that?
1,000 celestial.
Celestial years, which is a long time. It's big austerities. It's amazing. And often, because he's seen as a demigod, there's so much respect. For somebody who's taken that austerity, we have to have some respect for this person who's had the austerity. The austerity is that, he's doing for Krishna. And so Krishna was so pleased with him, he gave him the vision to create. So Prabhupada says in this purport that nothing is possible without tapasya. Lord Brahma, however, was empowered to create this entire universe because of his austerities. The more we engage in austerities, the more we become powerful by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, Rishabhadevya advised his sons, Tapa, one should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activities, one's heart is purified. So by all these austerities, we purify our heart in this way. And we're doing it for, as we all try and remember, it is what pleases Krishna. So going back into the purport of today's verse, Prabhupada explains that this tapa or penance was begun from the beginning, and it was first adopted by the Supreme Spiritual Master Lord Brahma. So by tapasya, only one can get the profit of human life, and not by polished civilization of animal life. Profit, what does that mean? It means that if we engage in something that's for Krishna's enjoyment, he's the center of the attention. And we do the tapasya that we're asked to do by shown in the scriptures and by association of Vaishnavas, devotees. We can have this human form of life. Otherwise, if it's for our own sense gratification, as Prabhupada describes, it's like the polished civilization. Polished meaning like animalist on two legs. Now we come into this time of the year, Christmas time, and it's time for enjoyment of a lot of the society. And sad to say, I was part of that scene before I received Srila Prabhupada's book back in 2006, and I realized actually this is not the enjoyment that we should be enjoying. Enjoyment is to please the Lord, and to please spiritual master, pure devotees. To go back to Godhead, this is what our body is for. It's a gift. And it's described in the Brahma Samhita that Lord Brahma was able to get his post through his previous samskaras, previous Hare Krishna, impressions. And it's also described in the Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna says that that there has to be qualification for Lord Brahma's post. And if there is no person for that purification we cannot find, then he has to step in himself to become Lord Brahma. So it's a very, very high post. What time do we stop for questions? I didn't ask that. At 8:45 for questions, at 10 to 9, okay. Okay. So this mantra that he was given, Prabhupada listened to lectures and addresses of 1968 in Seattle. Prabhupada speaks about those who are twice born. That means once born by the father and mother, and the second birth is the spiritual father and Vedic knowledge. So once born by the material bodily father and mother, and the second birth is Vedic knowledge, the mother, and the spiritual master, the father. So that is the second birth. So, this is what many of us are aspiring for. They get the taste once we receive the gift of books or some taste of prasadam, that the taste comes when we have the association, it becomes more and more and more. As we know, if we go back in how we came to Krishna consciousness, the taste becomes more and more. And you want to be able to give it to others. And with that, qualification comes by following, as Prabhupada would say, the 4 regulative principles, chanting the Maha Mantra at least 16 rounds every day. And this is also certainly for myself, not used to meditation. The mind just goes off here and there. It's an austerity sometimes, Although the mantra is very beautiful, but the mind just goes, oh, what about this? And you're like, okay, let's come back to this. But what about that? So we're constantly bringing our mind back to the Maha Mantra. Because we know that there's nothing else but the taste. And this is what Lord Brahma is showing me in this verse, that Lord Brahma knows only the taste of actually, is to actually give pleasure to the Lord Krishna in this way. So in our line we accept the Harinam, the Dhanaṁ, in the first initiation, and the dvij, twice born in as the brahmanas. Yes. So the alternative so we're speaking about, Prabhupada goes into the last chapter there. Sorry, the last paragraph. One who is thus initiated. Or before that we see that we have how we receive the knowledge, and it comes down. It doesn't go down, it descends from Lord Brahma down to, as Prabhupada says, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, our divine master. But for us, for his divine grace, you see Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So one who is thus initiated in disciplic succession is able to achieve the same result or power of creation. Chanting of this holy name, Prat Mantra is the only shelter of the desireless pure devotee of the Lord. Simply by such tapasya or penance, the devotee of the Lord achieves all perfections like Lord Brahma. So we can see in this age, because Lord Brahma was in a different time, in this age, this Kali Yuga, is described to me like the seasons. So we're in the winter season, the Kali Yuga, the dark times. So the only thing that we need is the holy name. The Sankirtan Yagya is our yuga. So by chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can achieve, there can be a succession to achieve the same result or power of creation. It's far out. So, I was hearing Her Grace Monica Devi actually speaking about how how Prabhupada gave us the key to the back door to the spiritual world, and how it seems simple, but it's so difficult at the same time, because of my mind and this and that. So so the Maha Mantra is our tapasya, is to constantly try to chant the holy name, try to think of Krishna in his holy name. Everything is there in the holy name. The devotees go out on Harinams to give out what Lord Chaitanya came to give, broke open the storehouse of love of Godhead to give to everyone. chanting in the street, and to give to every town and village. Some experiences of mine just when I was in the temple in London, going out on Oxford Street, which is, they say this, every country is in this Oxford Street. Every language you can think of, you can stop people in the street from different countries to go up and down to give them holy name. Because we want to give, because we received this gift, and we received in such a way that we want to give to others. We don't like to see the suffering of others. One time I was hearing that Prabhupada, when he was in London, and the devotees, he was in the car, and some tears came down. Prabhupada, are you okay? Because they say, yes, I find it difficult to see the suffering of others. And he was seeing so much suffering. Even with Srila Prabhupada, coming, being who he is, he followed the instruction of his spiritual master. And so he came all the way from Calcutta on Jaladutta. He had 2 heart attacks on the way, and coming into Boston and thinking, wow, what is this place? But he continued as much as he wanted to come back to Vrindavan, where he liked, but in his heart Vrindavan was being a pure devotee. Vrindavan was always with him, and because of him we're here today, to chant the holy name. So this chanting the holy mantra in the 5th canto is described. The alternative is mentioned is human life. It's meant for tapasya, austerity, penance. By tapasya one can get out of the material clutches. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, devotional service, his happiness is guaranteed eternally. By taking them to bhakti yoga, devotional service, one's existence is purified. The living entity is seeking happiness life after life, but he can make a solution to all the problems simply by practicing bhakti yoga. Then he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to Godhead. So we just have to continue, even though sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's hard to wake up in the morning. Sometimes it's hard to do this and this, and we have many troubles in family life, in day-to-day life, but we just continue somehow or other. But the beauty of having, as they say, sadhu sangha, association devotees, is very important to help lift us, lift one another up. Because as we know, in the material world, everybody is trying to, I want this job, I want you, I want to push you down, do this, but with this, with Krishna consciousness is different. We're trying to help each other to come to the point of going back to Godhead. So Lord Chaitanya opened the storehouse of love again by chanting the holy name of God. And in his the Shikshakshakam, he says, "Glory to the Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all the transcendental knowledge. It decreases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar of which we are always anxious." So he's given us the medicine. The medicine is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I stop there. Are there any questions?
Can we just hear the translation one more time?
Yep.
And connect the dots.
While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Ramaji heard twice from nearby 2 syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the sparśa alphabets, and both join to become the wealth of renounced order of life.
So when the two syllables were joined together, what word?
Tapa.
Oh, tapa. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Tapa. That's what he was hearing in the
So
water.
there was both the wealth and the beauty.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why those two words.
This is what Krishna, he heard from Krishna.
Huh?
He heard this from Krishna as described in the Srimad.
No, I know what I'm saying, in other words, why was it described as wealth? Why was it described as beauty, this word, tapa?
As I understand it, is because it's like, when you have a necklace, like when we talk about there's certain verses that should be worn around the neck, Same way that for the Brahmana, this tapasya is the wealth of beauty, doing austerities.
Is a wealth of beauty?
Wealth, and it says and beauty of the Brahmana.
Yeah, maybe I'm being too technical, but I'm just wondering why. I just feel like, he had something in mind when he said both wealth and beauty. Otherwise, he could have just said it's the wealth. He said the wealth and beauty.
Yeah.
So, for example, why is it being called the beauty?
The way I understood it is when something is so like a gift, it's like a jewel. It's like a jewel, so it's beautiful and wealthy at the same time. Can anybody else elaborate on that?
Yeah, I know, I think that.
Yeah.
Because when something is.
Why is it called
Very beauty and wealth of Brahmana.
Because it's valuable. Like jewel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word jewel helps because when something is a jewel, it is simultaneously valuable and beautiful.
Yes.
So that
Is that okay? But please, it's an interaction. I'm also learning.
As Prabhupada says that each devotee should elevate at least the level of Brahmana. And Brahmana means the person who has self-realization, and Brahmana has two qualities or two jobs: to study scripture and spread the message of Lord. And all Brahmana or all scholar person, they are recognized, they are welcome in the whole world due to their educational qualification, that is their wealth. And their knowledge is their beauty, which is not available in each and everyone. That's why tapasya or tapa is a jewel and beauty of a Brahmana, because that is what he is carrying wherever he goes, just like a flower is carrying smell or fragrance.
Nice. Thank you very much. Very much. Is that okay?
But you said that Brahmana's knowledge, you said that was his ultimate beauty. But you also mentioned something. You said something was the wealth and something was the beauty. How did you?
So Brahmana's scriptural knowledge is his wealth.
Right, okay.
And his tapasya is his beauty, because he is acquiring this knowledge by doing austerity. Just like a flower has a fragrance and a beauty too. So wherever the flower goes, it carries the beauty and the fragrance. So the Brahmana or the scholar person, they are worshipped all over the world due to their educational qualification. And educational qualification of the Brahmana, that he is self-realized, and he is also making other people about the self-realization. So that's why whatever I have, that is my wealth.
Yeah.
And what people that they are admiring me, that is my beauty. So people, the Brahmana, they have a spiritual knowledge, that is their wealth.
Yeah.
And due to their wealth, they are recognized all over the world, that is their beauty.
say also that the knowledge is the mother, and the father is, so like all the scriptures are our mother. So it, like Prabhupada says in the Canto 6, he speaks about that you have your material mother and father, you have your birth mother and father, and then when we come to Krishna consciousness, the mother we see is the scripture, which Prabhupada was trying to say. So our wealth is all the knowledge. Like Prabhupada came to the West to give us the knowledge, and in that time that he was here, there was 80 volumes of scripture, Sanskrit, he was doing. He transcribed in the time he was on from. I think he started a little bit before he came, but because we had some books, we had three books, and then he continued. So he continued to, even up to his deathbed, we see that he was still, that he was leaving his body, he was transcribing. So he wanted to give the knowledge that was descending, because we can't hear. I was in Vrindavan, just a little example. So I was in Vrindavan, and I went to ekadāmbhasy. I went on a little tour with some God brothers and God sisters, and he was explaining about how Krishna and Balaram were with the cows, and it was time for them to go. And he would Krishna would stand on top, on the branch of the ekadāmbhasy tree branch, blowing, playing his flute, and all the cows knew that they were being called. And then they went in their lines, the different shapes of cows, but they all came because they heard. So I asked the question, I say, Prabhu, if they can hear, why can't we hear? Why can't I hear? And he said, because you're conditioned, you're not hearing. He's calling you every moment, every second, but you're not hearing. So then from there I thought, I need to learn some more. I need to find out what Prabhupada's trying to tell us. Maybe chant a little bit more and stuff like that. So from there I realized that the wealth is what Prabhupada's given us, the wealth of so much. Because when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read, it's different again, my consciousness has changed. So I can see that as the wealth. He hasn't. We have a few more minutes.
And if I am not wrong, I think Prabhupada, when he came to England, people they asked that, why did you come here? So he said that British, they came to India and they looted everything, but the most valuable treasure they forget to loot, that is the spiritual knowledge. That's what exactly I come here to distribute. So spiritual knowledge is a wealth.
The wealth part is easy for me. It's the beauty part that's challenging.
So the person who has a wealth, they become beautiful.
Because they come a full, you can see.
So they become attractive, right?
Yeah, because you can see many people were pointing out to us, like we had open days in ISKCON London, and we'd have kirtan outside. It was rocking outside, just to encourage people to come in. And I stood by this person and I said, "Hey, what's attracting you to come here?" I said, "We're in a side street." I was attracted to this beautiful sound vibration. You can't get it on Oxford Street. I went into Surrey Street and I was drawn into. And he said, "It's so beautiful," because he could see the light in the devotees, because what it's taken is taken us away from the darkness, and so the light's beautiful. So he could see the beauty in the devotees, although we were like, because you can't feel it yourself, but like it's described to me, like, okay, you can't see much, but it's like a plane, you don't know you're moving in the plane, but when you're on the ground you can see it moving. So we are moving at some point, we just don't feel it. But when somebody actually says, "Wow, you're all so beautiful, you're glowing. So that's the beauty of us, as I understand it, of the not, as uncovering all the dark stuff, all the layers, and then they can see the beauty of Krishna.
Yeah.
That's who we see. This Krishna they're seeing the beauty of.
The result of, let's say, the applied knowledge is
Yes,
beautiful.
absolutely. Applied knowledge is correct, becomes beautiful. Like the story I was telling you, when I first came to Krishna consciousness, I received Prabhupada's book, so I was like, it's a bit of a long story, but after coming I received a couple of, my son also got stopped after I received the book from the family member, my mum, and I thought I really want to find out a bit more, so somehow or other I was on the internet and I managed to find out there's a festival in the street where I saw, but it's Rath Yatra. So me and my friend went, and we got there and we're like, wow. I was like, wow. I saw Lord Jaga, I was like, wow. It's so, I couldn't stop smiling. I was like, wow, you're so beautiful, and people and all the devotees around were so beautiful. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then when we started to proceed down into London, down Piccadilly Circus, around there, and by the Ritz and everything, it was like a 2-hour amazing sort of, the kirtan was rocking and we couldn't stop. It was so beautiful, and everybody was pure and beautiful, And then me and my friend departed. We were in different parts of the country, and my mum picked me up from the station. I was rocking. I was like, wow, just feeling something like else, Have you been on drugs or something? I was just singing in the street, Mum, it was just like that. But she saw that I was so
lit up.
lifted up.
Lit up.
That she thought I was on something else material. But she saw something that she couldn't write, but it was the beauty. But I found that line is a nectar drop, the penance. This sentence, this penance is the beauty and wealth of the brahmanas and renounced all life. It's like a nectar drop within this verse. Grantharaj Shiva Bhagavatam ki jai, Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Tagora Premanente. Hari Hari Bol. Have a wonderful day, everyone. So it's the pleasure of Shri Vrindavan Chandra, Bhajavrima, and all their lordships, and Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.